Hi everyone, today I'm happy to hold this great event. We are going to talk with Posthumus, Meyjes, legal designer, founder at Aclara Legal Design. Nice to meet you, Anna.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you too, Mykyta. Is it Mykyta?
Yeah, and me, Mykyta Zhukov, CEO at Zhukov Legal Family Office, co-founder of Legal Design Project, chairman of the Ukrainian Bar Association Committee on Constitutional Law, Administrative Law and Human Rights, coordinator of Ukrainian Bar Association Young Lawyers Forum. And today we are going to speak about legal design or how we can clarify legal word. In the focus of the event, mainstreams in legal design industry, how far can documents clarification go, final aim of legal design, legal design and resistance to the new, legal design as an instrument for lawyers or to replace them, opinion about automatization, legal design, and legal comics as a way to improve legal culture and legal awareness. Anna, you was a lawyer with 10 years experience in international litigation and then turned legal designer. What caused your choice to transform your legal career?
Well, I think it was a few factors that led me to make this transition. I think I started making visualizations of legal content back in 2012. I think that was the first time I did that. I don't know if you recognize this, but a lot of lawyers, when you have a new case in your hands or something like a topic, complex new thing that you need to understand or memorize, and sometimes you draw it out on a whiteboard, right? So you have party A and B and C, and you have like, what are their relationships, what happened, who has a claim, for example. And at some point I noticed like, once I figured that out, and then suddenly I have a clear picture of what the situation is, what the case is like. And then you go back to your keyboard and you try to communicate all that in text again. And that didn't really make sense to me. I was like, this visualization that I just made, I think is a lot clearer for my client or for the court or whoever. So at some point I realized, like, what if I just try to do these kinds of drawings digitally and send them along with when I communicate with others in my team or with the clients. So that worked, and that kind of like escalated. And then a couple of years later, I heard the term like legal design, and I was like, oh, that's maybe something that I'm doing. At that point, I was not familiar with design thinking yet, so I was mostly focused on making visualizations. And I also had some doubts about how traditional law firms worked, and well, law services in general. Sometimes I was like, I wasn't sure whether I was helping someone fix a problem or if I was actually part of the problem, because, you know, it's for clients, sometimes it's difficult to work with lawyers, and legal stuff is complicated, and I really valued the relationship with my clients, but I wasn't always sure whether I was helping them in the way that I thought was best. So at some point I just decided, I got stuck in the legal services, and I was like, I can't move on, like I can't go on like this. So I decided to invest in design skills. So I did graphic design classes, information design, and started my own business. And it was a great adventure. But yeah, it has really paid off. It's of course, I advanced my design skills, and I still love working in law, but I think this role suits me better, and I'm really excited about what we can do with legal design.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So
And
I'd like to.
Can I ask you the same question? Because you're involved in legal design as well. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, for today I am involved in legal design, but I'm still proceed my legal career because presently I am CEO at Zhukov Legal Family Office. It's a traditional, legal firm, and the main specialization of our firm is litigation. It's court. It's about lawyers. It's about businesses, and plus we proceed to get services in public procurement also too. But as for me, legal design, startups, and legal tech is more dynamic and more interesting way to apply, my professional skills. It's more interesting presently for me.
Right.
Yeah, and as we start to talk about Ukrainian legal design, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about legal design in Ukraine.
Yes.
So legal design is really growing in Ukraine presently. One example of a successful legal design implementation in Ukraine is DIA. DIA is a web portal and mobile application that provides citizens, Ukrainian citizens, with a simple and user-friendly platform for conducting businesses activities such as set up business, filing tax returns, and sharing, for instance, a driver's license with the police if it would be necessary. The portal also provides infographics to help users understand administrative services and their rights. In addition, DIA offers the ability to apply for state grants for business development, obtaining a license, and registering a vehicle through their mobile application. Yeah. Another notable example of applying legal design is Ukraine is Monobank. Monobank it's a Ukrainian legal neobank similar to Revolut in Europe. Loan documents in simple and easily understood terms. And by the way, you can open account online with electronic signature, like in Revolut in Europe.
Right.
As we talk about my team in Ukraine, we were involved in the process of legal documents, specifically contracts, website docs, policies, GDPR. Firstly, we analyzed the documents, removing unnecessary elements and duplications of legislative norm, and then we reduced the text and applied design elements such as infographics to present legislative acts in a visually appealing way, more understandable for people, for citizens. We started to create an automated web application for creating documents, plus integrate with public registers, such as the Register of Entrepreneurs and the Register of Vehicle, to autofill the documents with data from the open registry. Electronic signature were also applied to the documents. However, due to the ongoing war, the team has not had the opportunity to further scale automation efforts in Ukraine. And plus, presently, I'm in Canada. Yeah, and for this reason, we a little bit we make a little pause, a little stop in our automation process, but we still work with documents by our hands, with designers' hands, and hands of our lawyers, and to make legal contracts or other legal documents more understandable, more clarify, and more understandable not only for lawyers but also for people, for human who who don't have special legal education.
Right. Well, that's the main goal, right? So well, that sounds fascinating. So you have multiple things going on. I was going to ask, because it looks light outside. I was like, in what time zone are you? But so that's fascinating. I'm curious to know also from you, like, obviously when someone says Ukraine at the moment, we in the Netherlands think about the situation in Ukraine and the war currently. So do you find that like you're able to still do your job and to work and to even like focus on innovative things like legal design when you're in such a difficult position right now? Do you feel you can still do your work and you still have like space, like mind space to think about innovation?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not only about me, it's also about a lot of people who today in Ukraine, or Ukrainians who today in other different European countries, or the United States of America, or Canada, or So I have one interesting question to you. When I surfed your web page, I found an interesting type of service. It's legal icons. Could you tell us more about it and how it works?
Yes. Well, how to use icons in your work? Well, I call them legal icons because they were designed to visualize certain legal concepts or entities. They are just icons, but they are tailored for the kind of information that you want to communicate in a legal setting. And I think icons work very well. Icons do a couple of things in your communication. I'm not going to say that legal design is taking any document and just slapping on a few icons and that's that. That's not what legal design is. But if you get to the stage where you've done some initial research, you know what the problem is, you've gathered some ideas, and you're ready to work on the text and then the visuals, icons can really help in your design, in your layout, because they're like visual anchor points. Icons together with a title, so also using the correct word, really helps understanding the paragraph and scanning the titles with the icons. Now, not every the more abstract something is, the more difficult it is to express in an icon. But icons also use the thing, like it's for a reason people call things iconic. And for example, if you are like if you even look at the Zoom screen and you have the option to raise a hand, it says like a hand, so that's very direct, right? So it's the hand and you actually raise it, even though it just means you get like this red dot. But if you look at the microphone or the video icon that's on your screen, microphones don't really look like that anymore, and neither do video cameras now. But the shape is so recognizable for us because we know that is what signals, like what's supposed to be a microphone and what a video looks like, where actually it's more like a microphone is like the tiny thing in here in your phone, and the video is here. So how that works is like if you, for example, look at the legal icons and one of them says like a sale and purchase agreement, that is harder to express than a microphone, for example. But at the same time, with icons, if you use them consistently and together with titles, you will create sort of visual language. And usually these visual languages need to be learned. And just like traffic signs, for example, we learn what they mean. And that can be very powerful. So if in your legal communication, you often use icons to signify this is a limited company, or a public company, or this is what a director looks like, or a shareholder, for example. And if you keep using them, they will become part of our vocabulary, and they will be helpful when communicating any kind of content. So what I'm hoping for to get at some point have like a standard of legal icons. And you know, the icons that I have in my web shop is just the start of this collection, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, thank you. When you make visual templates, do you use your corporate style? I mean, the visuality of docs, or do you adapt under the client's design?
Well, if I do, like, I have a couple of templates on my website that are editable, but like the products on my shop, they are meant to be ready-made and purchased, and people can edit them themselves. But if a client hires me to do a legal design project, then everything is custom made, of course. And then I always ask for their brand guidelines and their brand style. So they send me their logo, their color palettes, their typography, and that is the branding that I'll be using for their design. So if you look at my showcases, for example, you'll see that for every client, like every project is in their own branding, of course, because that's what needs to be communicated. And you know, I think one of the key things in legal design, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a company, like if you're a multinational, like sometimes you have like let's, for example, if you take Google, for example, we all know what the logo looks like. We know what the app looks like, for example, and they have Google Drive, and you have Google Maps, and they're all like similar in branding. And the whole user experience is really well thought out. And then when you get to the legal stuff, this is boring plain text. Well, of course, everyone that knows a little bit about legal design knows that you can do the legal stuff in a branded way as well. And that doesn't necessarily just mean the colors and the fonts, but in the same tone of voice and in the same communication style. So it needs to be part of the overall experience. So that's why I always say to my clients that it's very important that I have like the right brand elements, because to others it shouldn't be visual, like it shouldn't be they shouldn't be able to see whether a legal designer did that work and another type of designer worked on the website. It should be all integrated branding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is your vision of the legal design services market in a few years? How will it be transformed?
Well, I think that legal design has already come a long way since like 5 years ago. So I think still the most Googled question about legal design is, what is legal design? It's still the main question, but I do feel that I don't get that question a lot anymore. Maybe also because people follow me on social media and I'm very vocal about legal design. But and I see what I definitely saw over the last like year and a half, that more and more people lawyers want to learn legal design skills. And I think that's a great thing, and I always encourage people to learn design skills, and that means like how to do basic interviews, how to research your main stakeholders, your users, how to come up with creative ideas, plain language, and also visual skills if you can and if you want to. But also part of legal design is working in multi-skill teams. So I think the last year and a half, I noticed a lot of people want to learn these skills, but in the meantime, I think sometimes people are forgetting that you don't necessarily have to acquire all these skills. It's also about collaboration, and it takes, for example, quite some time to be a good visual designer, but even also if you want to be a good UX researcher. So I think in like 5 years time or something, I really hope that more people have basic design skills that are beyond like visual skills, that people really see the broader spectrum of legal design. And I am hoping that there will be more in-house legal designers, so that people embrace that you need lawyers in legal design and you need designers in legal design.
Mm-hmm. To your mind, is it an important feature for lawyers to make their documents clear and understandable, not only for other lawyers, but also for clients and consumers? And how we can develop this skill?
Well, I think it's, I mean, a lot of focus, I feel, in legal design is about contracts. And, you know, contracts are very important. I think that's also fueled by scaling. I mean, if you take one contract that you, as a business, you use a lot, and you ask a legal designer to redesign it, it gives you a lot of value. And some designs are just one-off. For example, in litigation, I'm working on this case right now where it's for one single case. And we make all these kinds of like tailor-made infographics. So that serves a different purpose. Now I forgot your question. I forgot where it was going.
Yeah, how we can develop this skill?
Oh, right.
I mean lawyers. Yeah.
Yeah, for lawyers and for NGOs. Yeah, sorry. What I was gonna say, like, for example, in litigation, like the end users of my designs are actually the court, like the judges, the individual judges, maybe the counterparty, but like the people, like professional lawyers who practice law at a high level. That's a completely different user group than when you're designing terms and conditions for consumer products, for example. And sometimes you hear, like, I think there can be no doubt about it, that people just want, like, everyday people want everyday language, and that's very clear. You want something, you want to be able to read something, and the less you are interested in it, like, people are not gonna read it if they're not interested in it. And if it sounds very boring to people, they're not even going to try. So we really have to make an effort to communicate legal content in a way that speaks to them. And I think that's our responsibility as lawyers to do that. Instead of just saying, like, give it to me, I'm very educated, I know how this works, and you can just leave it to me. I think we're really past that. But even for lawyers, or like judges or whatever, legal professionals, sometimes they say, yeah, but I am a lawyer, or I know how this works. And they're like, people can read. Like, sometimes people say that, well, they should just be able to read. And then I disagree. I mean, as a practicing lawyer, at some point I realized that I read like 100 pages per day. But you also write, and you do phone calls, and you do, I don't know, have meetings. So it's a lot of reading every day. And I once heard the quote, like, people who love to read a lot already. So just because as a lawyer, you know how to read complicated legal documents, doesn't mean that you would like to have like a faster way to digest that information. So I don't necessarily think it has to do with the level of your comprehension, but everyone prefers a quick read over a complicated, dense read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Is it popular in Europe legal design? I mean, which one more popular, legal design contracts or legal design infographics?
I feel like contracts are more popular, more visible. But I think that, like I said, that also has to do with money. Like it's like, I think for businesses, they see more gains in designing contracts than other type of, and contracts and terms and conditions, of course, like privacy notices, NDAs, these kinds of documents, very common documents. But also compliance regulations, guidelines. So in-house legal information, like the stuff that the legal or compliance department has to communicate to other parts of the business. And I don't see a lot of like infographics or visualizations that are used in litigation, but I think it definitely happens. I do it regularly, and I really love that kind of work also because I used to be in litigation. But the problem with those kinds of projects is that they're usually 100% confidential, so you can't really share them. So I think there are more projects out there in litigation that we know of, but it's hard to get permission to share them publicly.
Yeah, it's interesting. By the way, have you ever faced with legal design contracts in, like a domestic life? I mean, for instance, you'd like to order a big bottle of water, and you'll have legal design contracts and say, wow, what a wonderful contracts. It's really a legal design, and these contracts made not me, for instance, my another company in Europe. So have you ever faced with legal design contracts in regular life, not in professional life, I mean?
Right. That's a good question. I'm not sure actually that I've come across them. I think if I would like get a new financial product now, like a banking or insurance product, I could come across that, but I haven't done that in a while. So I think these that are typical documents that like people focus on now, and NDAs, of course, are more for business context. You definitely regularly see some labor agreements that, well, I can't always say that there were like legal design versions. They are more visual. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have any kind of design process. I guess sometimes structurally they're not very good, or they're just a cover page. But I think in labor agreements you could come across them. But as a business owner, I don't really have a labor agreement anymore. Well, not for myself. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe this year, when buying something or hiring new services, I would have a document that is more visual, or let's say at least visual, but hopefully even more like developed in the legal design way.
Yeah. Sometimes in legal industry, I'm faced with misunderstanding why legal design is necessary. Some lawyers say that it doesn't matter how the documents looks. More important is what this document contain. As for me, it's totally retrograde approach. In this context, have you ever faced with a similar statement, and how you react for this?
Yes, absolutely. Well, let me just start off with like, I feel like people who have absolutely zero interest in legal design and see no added value whatsoever are not my audience. Like the super critics will probably be difficult to convince. So that's not the people that I focus on. Then you have the majority of people that are just new to it, and it's like, well, we'll see what it can bring us, and if it's any use. And then you have a percentage of people who are really excited about it. I think that's with any kind of innovation. Sometimes, like, some things can be very measurable, right? So the benefits of a legal design project. For example, one of the things I did for an insurance company, the legal department was faced with a lot of questions from their account managers about specific details in like insurance coverage. And they talked to like people on the phone answering their questions, was like the customer services. So the legal department asked me to design an infographic, basically explaining how these specific questions should be responded to, but not just by giving like a script, but by explaining what the policy is, what the insurance's policy. And so the account manager, or the people that spoke to the customers on the phone were more knowledgeable of their products, and so they could help their customers better. That directly leads to a decrease in the amount of questions that the account managers contact the legal department for. So there are definitely some metrics that you can measure, like time spent, amount of questions, how many clicks on something, how much time it takes to read something, for example. And then there are more things that that are more difficult to measure. What I usually say for a legal design project, you're not only trying to improve the communication within the an improved document, but you're also showing the other party, your customer or like a business contact or whatever, you're also showing them that you're making an effort to be clear in your communication, and to be transparent, for example, and that improves trust and relationships. And of course, that's very important when you deal with customers or business relations. So, so not all results can be measured, but there are definitely metrics that you can track. And there's also this part of legal design that I see with lawyers. They find a new way of working, or a new way of doing their legal work that feels a bit lighter, sometimes even more fun. Well, fun is a weird word for lawyers in work context, of course, but also it comes from a genuine interest in the people that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And they are learning things about their customers, for example, and they are like, what if we do it differently? And a lot of people are energized by that. So I think that's usually why when I talk to people who are a bit hesitant about legal design, which is understandable if it's new to you, I usually say, instead of me like getting on the stage and doing a presentation on legal design, I would rather do an interactive session where we do some exercises, we do some things where you can explore some like creative skills, or like how to empathize with your clients. And that way people will experience what legal design can be, and they can form their own opinions about how that could help them do their job better, basically.
Okay. So about fun, interesting to know your opinion about legal comics as a tool for improving legal culture, create maybe a lawyer superhero, or as a way to explain legal acts to children, for instance, explain their rights.
Well, I think that that is one of the forms that you can use to communicate legal content. If the form of I mean, the examples that I know that people that do legal comics, or legal content in comic form, they're great. They're clear. They're very communicative. You know, if that fits the audience, the users you're trying to target, and if that fits the client or the organization that wants to communicate this information, and that can be a great way. Like you said, like if you want to reach children, for example, but also like grown-up comics that were used for people with limited reading skills, or just if you are a modern fun company that wants like everything to be on brand, and they use comic style for other parts of their business. I think that works very well. I have a different style, so I don't do comics myself. But yeah, so either the sender and the receiver of that information, if a comic style fits, then that's a great option, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Legal tech is a way to make the legal world more simple and understandable. Does this mean that jurisprudence is now too far from being understood by citizens without a legal education? And should jurisprudence be transformed into a simple one for a citizen without legal knowledge?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I have, like, as a legal designer, really have a perspective on that. Maybe I do as a lawyer and as a citizen. You know, I'm not sure. I think I usually compare the legal world with the medical world, right? So if I have like a spot on my skin, for example, and I want to know if this is dangerous, I can Google it and find all kinds of medical information. Is that helpful? Sometimes, yes. Not always. Sometimes you prefer to go to a doctor that gives you, like, looks at your skin and gives you tailor-made advice. So I think the same goes for case law or any kind of sources of legal information. Like, some specific things people should have access to, like what if I can't pay my rent, what happens now? Or what if I got laid off? What's my position? Or I want to get a divorce. Like a lot of legal situations people have on a day-to-day basis. Yes, I think you should be able to find general information that's easy to understand and is going to help you, whether in your own language, if it's in your own language, or there are translations. If, for example, in the Netherlands, if Dutch is your second language, or maybe even third, and that also is accessible for people that are colorblind, for example. Or when you're blind, so you have a lot of accessibility issues to consider. But yeah, in general, you should be able to get that kind of information. But like I said, sometimes you want to see a doctor and someone that actually, like, one-on-one helps you with your situation. And I think that's not going to disappear. You still need that option, but it's like you don't want to reinvent the wheel all the time. So a lot of information should just be available to you in an accessible way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I need that too as a citizen. Even though I'm a lawyer, but like, for example, I know very little about, I don't know, criminal law. What if something happens and I don't know, and I get arrested or something? I don't know what to do. So it's just it's not always like even if you are a lawyer, you are also a citizen, and you get into all kinds of situations. So we shouldn't, I think as lawyers, we shouldn't monopolize everything that has to do with the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. What do you think about the automation of legal design as a process? Maybe you have already thoughts how you can transform docs using AI or other legal tech solutions.
Well, I feel we've gotten to the point where like everyone should be afraid of what technology can do and how that will replace us. But I think it's better to just if there's a new tool who does something that you can't, or that does it quicker or better or whatever, probably best to just focus on learning to work with that tool. Even like in web design, for example, like there are so many easier ways to build websites now than there were like 10 or 15 years ago, for example. So the same goes for legal design. I mean, a lot of my work is very custom design work. And if some tool becomes available where it's very like a lot easier to make a typical like infographic format or whatever, great, then I'll use that tool. That speeds up that part of my process. And there are still like the same as lawyers won't be replaced by lawyers, by robots. I don't think designers will be replaced by any tool, in the sense that there are human skills that we need to get to a certain result. And you can use the tools, but we need like a human approach. We need like good communication skill. We want people to feel comfortable, for example, or you need creativity. So I feel like the skills that make us humans, that make us human, will not be replaced by any tools, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know exactly what we'll have in the future, and I can't pretend it. But as for me, presently, AI, it's not about replacing lawyers. Lawyers, bye-bye.
Yeah.
I think that presently it's like an assist to lawyers, and yeah, we can use these tools to improve, maybe to improve our skills, to improve our services, and make it more as quick as possible using these tools. As for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, there are a lot of tasks that are not super interesting to do as a lawyer. Like you have repetitive tasks that are usually not people's favorites. If you can have some kind of AI tool do that, then, I mean, we should welcome that. But I have like an innovative spirit. So if something new comes out, I think instead of reacting out of fear, you can just see, oh, what are the opportunities for me? Like, how can I use this to my benefits? And what I used to say, like a couple of decades ago, I mean, it's also inevitable. A couple of decades ago, you would go to the video store and rent a VHS tape to watch a movie at home. And now we can't really imagine doing that, leaving your house to rent one movie. I mean, and then like now everyone has Netflix and all these like streaming services. That just happens. I mean, if it's like it's evolving and you can't stop that, and so it's not a bad thing either.
Yeah. And by the way, have you already used ChatGPT for making legal docs?
No, just for fun. So
I mean for fun, yeah, because we are professional lawyers and you're a professional legal designer. But I mean, as for fun, and compare how artificial intelligence can handle with human work.
Yes, absolutely. I think, well, to me, it's very interesting. It's fascinating. Like I tried a couple of things. I didn't spend too much time on it, but so I asked like, what is legal design, because it's the most Googled question still, and the answer was like, that sounds very like balanced, and that makes sense. And as someone pointed out, I shared this on social media. So yes, it also is very boring. And I said, yeah, I agree. There is no personal touch in the answer, and it doesn't have like a perspective or opinion or whatever. But if you look for a definition, that's like a description. It's a fine description, and there will be like I said with other tools. I mean, it's better to just try it out and see how you can use it for your benefit than be scared of it or angry or be super critical of all the downsides. I always like to look at what can it bring for what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that some people have already waiting for chat from with artificial intelligence from Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some predict that this chat can replace ChatGPT, but we need a time.
We'll see. Maybe
Yeah, it's interesting.
maybe there's enough space for 2 platforms or 5. I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting development.
Yeah, I agree.
I can promise you that when I post something on social media or when I'm doing a design project now, that I didn't get a text from ChatGPT, or at least not yet.
Yeah. Could you share with us some tips in creating legal design documents?
Sure. I think, well, first of all, the main thing is that it's not about the visuals. The visuals are part of the form and that can be supportive of the goal. But like when I design documents, like maybe 2/3 of the project does not involve making the visuals. So it's talking to the clients, talking to the end users, doing interviews, doing research, defining the problem or challenges very well takes time. Having everyone on board and being committed to do work differently is very important. I mean, it's new to people, and you are asking lawyers who are quite risk averse to try something totally new. So it takes some time to build trust. And also, especially for lawyers, to just be flexible and to be curious about looking at different ways. What if we do this upside down? Like, what if we take out half of the text? What happens? Like, you really want to look at it from a totally new perspective. One example that I usually give is if you look at the standard contract, then usually it says the parties' names and then definitions and then the body of the contract. I was like, no one wants to read definitions. I mean, from a legal point of view, you do want the definitions in your contract if they really add something. Sometimes you see like, what is like a day or a week, and they have a definition for what a day is, and sometimes that's really not helpful. But even the definitions you want to keep, they don't have to be on the first page. Like, no one wants to read them, not even lawyers, and lawyers also only read them when they need to find the definition for something in the contract. So from a user's point of view, you would put them at the end of the document, for example. So really look at structure. So then you've researched the users, the user needs, the challenges, the structure, and then you can start like editing the text or drafting it, and doing design. And of course, very important to test the design and make iterations based on the feedback that you get. So as I said, you spend a lot of time on other parts of the design process than actually making any kind of visualizations or doing any of the nitty-gritty design work.
Yeah, and as for you, what is the final aim of legal design?
I think it's very important for people to have access to law, to legal content. And so I see it as two, for me, it's two goals. So I want to make legal content more accessible to non-lawyers. And on the other hand, I want our legal design serves lawyers to actually reach that goal. So I want lawyers to have better tools, other tools to communicate their knowledge, but mostly to help people achieve their goals, because no one is interested in the legal stuff itself. People want to get that rental agreement or resolve their dispute or whatever. So you want to help people with their problems, and legal design is there to serve that purpose.
Okay, and what do you think about what is the mainstreams in legal design industry?
Well, I think in what I mostly see, legal design is mostly focused on products, and with products, you can say like a contract is a product, or like a compliance guidelines are a product that you design and then it's finished, so to speak. But like the whole contracting process is also like a user journey, is also a service, for example. So I see mostly legal design for products and services. You can apply design principles and design thinking methodology to other processes as well. I know, like organizations or systems or whatever, but I don't see that very much. At least I don't really come across those projects often. So mostly projects and services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your answers. It was really, yeah, it was really interesting to have conversation with you. You were great. Thank you.